Hi, my name is Brina, and I play Dead by Daylight for fun. Welcome to my channel. I've been playing Dead by Daylight for just over 8 months now, and I'm discovering new things every day. Like many Dead by Daylight players, I'm super excited about the 10-year anniversary celebrations this year. And, like many Dead by Daylight fans, I love watching videos where my favorite creators do challenges to keep things interesting. Well, I'm a pretty new player, and I'm not up to the level of a lot of those hard challenges. Not yet, anyway. So I've decided to create my own type of easier challenges, with activities I want to complete to help me explore and understand the game better, and hopefully also improve along the way. I'll call them mini-challenges. So for today's video, I'm starting on a series that will run alongside some of the anniversary events. I've made it my goal to complete one game on each killer and one game on each survivor in order before the end of the Black Banquet event in July. I did this with killers only back when Blood Moon was going on. I managed to complete it, and I learned some cool new things in the process, so I'm sure this will be similar. For learning purposes, since survivors all share the same basic abilities, I'll also be trying to use one of their original perks as part of each survivor's build. Let's get started on my first mini-challenge, the All Characters Run. First up is Dwight, one of the first survivors and still one of the most popular. He comes with some great perks which I'm still using in many of my matches.
For my Dwight match, I chose his perk that I use the most often, Prove Thyself, which gives a little bonus on generators if you're on them with another person. I'm also using my favorite Claudette perk, Botany Knowledge, my favorite Feng Min perk, Lithe, and a general perk called Dark Sense because I was trying to complete a tome for that one. You can tell from the sound cues on this that the killer is Nurse with one of the Rift cosmetics. It's where there's a low-pitched scream and kind of a whooshing sound. I didn't realize that right away, but it registered in my brain the third or fourth time I heard that sound. So my initial strategy in this game was to creep through the map trying to avoid the killer while looking for a generator that's not blocked. I can see from my progress across the map that the nurse is using a perk called Corrupt Intervention that blocks the 3 generators closest to the survivor's starting point. There's her teleport sound again. The first thing I'd be doing if I was her is going straight to the blocked generators to see if I could pick up survivor trails. So now I know she's gone past me because I heard the teleport sound and then the terror radius, and now they went away. It's now safe to start running with less risk of her seeing my scratch marks and look for a generator to work on. I've chosen this one because I know on this map, the Hawkins Underground Lab, there tends to be a lot of action going back and forth through this area of halls in the middle of the map. So it would be good to finish this early in the game. So at this point the killer gets into chase with David. I decided to stay on the generator hoping to finish it before anything too exciting happens. That chase with David is what starts the situation that's ultimately going to lead to the end of the match. But we'll find out more about that in a bit. Right here I got an aura read on the killer, that's why I can see the killer's silhouette. It's from the perk I mentioned earlier, Dark Sense. It shows me her silhouette for about 10 seconds each time someone completes a generator. So I decided I don't want to get into chase right now. I'm going to go find another generator to work on. Here she's chasing David again. And he goes down. This is the point where the game starts to snowball and, well, just watch and see. Another thing that's of note here is that she downed him, but she hasn't picked up. And there's somebody finished another generator. So everybody that's not David is on generators. Right here is where I finished my second generator by myself, bringing the total up to 4 completed. There's one generator left, and Dave has been on the ground slugged long enough to be totally recovered, so it just takes a very small amount to pick him back up. It's a little odd she left him on the ground that long without picking up. And here I can see the aura again. I can see she's behaving rudely toward Dave's downed body, which is also weird. Especially, the amount that she's continuing to do it. And somebody else goes down, so that person had the same idea I did of picking him back up. At this point I started to wonder, given both players' behavior, if maybe Dave is either bugged or cheating and she's actually unable to pick him up. I wasn't really sure what to do under those circumstances, so I went up for a closer look. Now she spotted me peeking around the corner trying to figure out what's going on there, and she chased me for a bit. Then she went back to her slugs. She really doesn't want Dave getting back up. It's possible that's just her strategy, in which case, well, it worked. She knows she's got 3 members of the team down, and I thought, well, since I'm not sure, I should probably try to do something here. 3 of them are down, but one seems to have crawled through the hole that drops back down to the main level. And here I thought, if I can get Rebecca back up, that would maybe give us some kind of a chance by getting her up and letting her run a little. But she goes straight back up the corridor to Dave, and now we're all down. And that's basically the end of my first Survivor match on the All Characters Run. It was a weird one. Still not sure if there was a bug or a cheat, or if she was just choosing to adopt slugging as a strategy. But that's it for Dwight. Got a little use from our perks, and a weird ending. On the killer's side, we'll start with Trapper, one of the classic killers and the poster child for the franchise. For my Trapper game, I loaded in on Badham Preschool, which, in my experience, I've done better on this map as a survivor than as a killer, but we'll see what we can do with it. What the Trapper, Evan McMillan, is most known for is of course his trap setting ability. He is the original Dead by Daylight killer and the first trap-style killer in the game. So, very important for Trapper is what they call the setup phase. Not every killer has a setup phase, but Trapper definitely does. So before I even go looking for the survivors, I'm going to be wandering around the map picking up traps and putting them back down in places that are strategic. This building is important because once you get into chase, a lot of players like to chase in and around it. And I'm going to put my traps mainly in places that people are going to want to run through. When the game begins, you start out with 2 traps, unless you use the backpack add-on that gives you an extra one. There are also more traps located throughout the map near all the generators, which is sort of the game's default suggestion for where you might want to set them, but usually putting them in running areas works better for me. So there, I can hear the downstairs generator going. I can also see one that just completed. It's not unusual to see that happen during your setup phase on killers of this type. So I'm going to set up a couple of traps in the area of the main building here. People like to run through there a lot, so I'm just setting traps a couple places. Some of them are pretty visible, but you do still occasionally catch someone off guard. It's a little difficult on this map because while there is some higher grass you can hide traps in, there are also a lot of important areas you need to run through and think about where it's very difficult to do that. And on Trapper, I need the traps. He doesn't really have speed or mobility features, so this kind of strategy is necessary. He doesn't have that, he has put down a trap and hope a survivor gets in it. I got a little lucky on this one because that David is broken, he's down in 1 hit, and that Sable just clung on to the generator as I walked right up behind her. For today's Trapper build, I'm using what they call a backpack build, which is one of the favored builds on this killer. It basically gives me a little extra time to carry survivors since I'm slow. Helps give me a better chance of getting them to the hooks, which is why it's often used in combination with hooking in the basement. Somebody got into that trap, but she was across the map from me when it happened, so by now she's wiggled free. So I'm going to step to this side and reset the trap before I continue chasing. That's something I've noticed on the really skillful trapper players I've watched. They're very disciplined about picking up and putting down the traps and not getting so excited about chase they forget to use the character's power. Here's Sable. She's self-healing behind this pallet, but she didn't come out and throw the pallet in time, so she's getting a second hook. They still haven't unhooked Dave, and somebody just got into one of my other traps. So at this moment, this game is going well for me as Trapper on Badham. I'm not trying to tunnel anybody out, I generally don't, but unless I'm doing really extraordinarily well, if I keep seeing one survivor more than the rest, I do sometimes kill them first, rather than aggressively distributing my hook states. In my specific case as a Trapper player and a fairly new player in general, I sometimes have to take what I can get. They finally unhooked David. They got rid of that trap. I can hear somebody breathing heavily here. I'd like to set that in such a way it's less visible. There are some spots like that on some maps where that's possible, but it doesn't seem to be for me at this moment. Somebody just set off another trap, but I'm in chase with this person, so I won't go for that just now. And there's the pallet to the face, and the flashlight stun. Very emblematic of what it often feels like to me playing this killer. So that's Bill. I've got a hit on him. I've stepped in my own trap. They actually have an add-on for Trapper that stops you doing that. And everybody's here for the unhook, which is nice of them to all come unhook Sable, especially since she's on death hook. And I've got an extra hit there. Yay! And I've stepped in my trap again. Maybe I should come back and move that? And I'm coming back to pick up Bill, who I temporarily left slugged here. I'll just hook him right in the middle. It's a nice convenient spot. This game is going alright for me for a Trapper game. They finished 3 generators and I've got 4 hook states. That's an okay performance. Right now I'd prefer to have more hook states distributed across more survivors, but a lot can happen in endgame too. So here's the Orella, and Dave also. I want to get Orella because I haven't hooked her yet. And there's a speed perk, probably live. It gives her a nice speed boost which will lengthen her chase time. And she's down. So now I've got everybody at least one hook, and I don't have to feel too bad if I run into that Sable again. I'd probably go ahead and finish her off. But the person that we found is Bill. So he's going down here to the main looping area, and another pallet stun, followed closely by a flashlight stun. This is the easiest way to get flashlight stuns, I think, especially if you have what they call a god pallet there where the killer can't run around one edge of it. Some killer players won't even loop the downstairs in this building because if the survivor is skillful enough it can go on for quite a while, and that takes too much time off pressuring the generators. Now he's looking for another stun, but he'll settle for just throwing the pallet. There's another chase perk, probably live again, giving him quite a speed boost off the vault. So I think maybe I'll do some more traps since this is Trapper. And also you can't spend too long chasing one person because if you do, everybody finishes all the other generators. So coming back here, I can see that trap's been undone. Gonna move it a bit. That's another thing I see some of the best Trapper players do, is move the trap a bit before resetting it if it's been unset. Just gonna check some lockers here, because that generator seems to have been worked on recently. But there's nobody here right now. So there were 2 people on that generator, but they must have just started it because I can't kick it. And it looks like the second person on it was Sable. Not sure why she didn't vault that pallet, but she's chosen to run a different way instead, which, you know, benefits me, so I can't complain. Somebody's also disarmed both of those traps. And really, before I picked her up to hook her, I should have reset both of those. Strategically, that would have been better. But I fell into the common killer error of feeling pressured about the state of my game and trying to rush forward instead of being strategic. And on killers like Trapper, that can cost you. You really have to keep picking up and setting your traps. Well, I really have to keep picking up and setting my traps. We just won't talk about that vault. There goes the 4th generator, which means I'm down to 3 possible generators they could choose from to finish before opening the exit gates. The arrangement of the 3 generators I need to try to defend, or 3-gen, I have here is not great for me, but it could be worse. So checking that one, no progress on it. Gonna set a trap down there just in case. And there goes the last generator. So I heard a locker sound as I came down the stairs, and it's Bill. He jumped out of the locker, but it looks like he doesn't actually have Head On, the survivor perk that lets you stun the killer when you jump out of the locker. So instead, he's getting hooked, if I can get him to a hook. So all that's left to do right now is check the end gates. If I find one with no survivor on it, I'll put a trap in front of it. Not really good places to hide it here. Bill's still on hook. They haven't tried to unhook him. I kind of thought they would, but they haven't yet. It looks like they've been on this end gate, so I'm looking around this area in case they've ducked into a bush, which it looks like is exactly what they did. Got a little excited here. And then I lost track of where Dave actually went. And finally the unhook. So here's Bill. He would be out. I've stepped in my own trap again. And now he's got into the trap I put by that window in the early game. And I'll pick up here instead of trying to slug or stop the others from opening the gate because I'd rather have 2 kills than 1. Which is what happens. Bill dies and the other 2 end up getting out. So that's my Trapper game. It went alright for me, all things considered, especially for being on a killer that isn't one of my best on a map that I struggle with. Had some good chases, made a couple missteps, but a decent game overall. Hi, future Brina here. So it's become clear based on my ability to edit videos compared to my recording speed that I'm gonna need to make some adjustments to my initial plan for this series. As you have likely guessed, I started recording these before Black Banquet began. Sadly, my editing speed cannot quite keep up with my gameplay and recording speed, so I'm going to have to summarize most of the matches. Happily, I did finish the challenge on time. I'll still make sure to bring you a lot of fun gameplay and exploration moments, and if there's interest, I can go back in the future and show more of the complete matches as well. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, thanks for joining me for today's video. Until we meet again, I hope you always find yourself learning new things, and I hope you find yourself able to meet whatever challenges come your way.